Hello, welcome to Local Lives. Today we're joined by Kyle Snow and Gina Onespot. If the two of you wouldn't mind, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes. Stitch. Good day. My name is Kyle Snow. Um, my Indian name is Ohadi Thaba, which means black cloud. And my adult Indian name is Omani Titanga Ohadi, which means buffalo walking in the clouds. I am from Morley, Alberta, also known as Mini Fni Cold Water in the Nakota language. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Gina Onespot. I'm from Sutuna Nation. My native name is In the Water Singing Woman, and my other name is In the Water.
Well, thank you so much. I'm so excited that you're joining us today. If you wouldn't mind, would you mind, Kyle, telling me about your story of where you started and where you are now?
Yeah, so we'll talk a bit the beading session or the beading part is I started just like a little bit after COVID-19 started. I was a bank shift cashier at the casino. I lost my job because I was in senior or full time, like full time. But I was looking for work and I couldn't find work honestly. And I started beating hats for a hobby. And then I started getting actually people asking me to where I could get these hats or where they could buy them or how they're made. And I kind of sat there and just thought about it to myself, and I thought I could make these hats. So that's kind of where it started.
Gina, do you want to talk about your story a little bit and how you started and where you are now?
So I just it's the singing. For me, it's the singing. I've ever since I was a little girl, my parents and grandparents have taught me to sing. Um, and before I started singing, it was more just like ceremonial songs. And then next thing, got us into hand games. Yeah, and then we start learning a lot of hand game songs. And then I met Kyle, and then we start singing together, and we start singing the round dance songs. And yeah, so it's for me, a lot of it's like the singing. Yeah.
I'm so excited to learn more about both your stories and
Hmm.
where you started and where you came from. So I understand that the two of you are knowledge keepers. What does that mean?
So for me, what a knowledge keeper means is you're not necessarily holding this knowledge to keep it. You're holding this knowledge to share it with people from your community or relatives or the Winchester, the people means to share and to be there for the elders and the young people. So when they need something, it's a role, right? Like women and men have roles in a community. And when you're a knowledge keeper, you have that role. Is it a role model or a teacher? So that's what a knowledge keeper means to me, is somebody who holds this knowledge to share with the people.
Hey, Eugenia.
Okay, so knowledge keeping to me is what was passed down before us, and then that's like the language, the traditional knowledge and the songs. And so with me, when I was a little girl, my grandpa on my mom's side, he was a medicine man. So he used to bring us and traveled all over Canada and the States, and we would do like ceremony, and it would be like culture camps. And then also in Sutuna, on my dad's side, my grandpa, my great granny and grandpa were the bundle keepers, the beaver bundle keepers. So they would on both sides of my families, we both like had really lots of traditional knowledge. So like growing up, they shared a lot with us, and the do's and the don'ts. And it really I really think like when people find the culture, they really get grounded.
Like she's a medicine carrier, like a medicine keeper. She knows about the medicines that need to be picked for what you need, right? And there's a certain protocol and way about getting those medicines. And we're always taught not to take too much, but never, take enough, but never too much. That's always what it is with our people. So that's just a little bit of like, I think what she's trying to say is that she's a knowledge keeper also in medicines, ceremonial songs, the culture, like, it has to do with cooking or it has to do with just how we're dressed, right? So Could be very lots of things for her. For me, it's a little bit simplified. It's just beading and I don't know, maybe dancing, but that's about it.
So you're almost like a bridge from the generation before to the generation
I
that
like
comes.
that sounds so cool.
Wonderful. That's beautiful. And that must have been so special growing up, being around all those wonderful, amazing people and getting to see those ceremonies and learning so much about where you came from. And, as you're saying, that connection really is healing. It's like, you feel whole. So I'm just wondering, how special is it that the two of you not only are partners in keeping this traditional knowledge, but also professionally and in life as well?
So together professionally, I think that it was both of our upbringings that helped with how we conduct ourselves professionally because Gina's family are medicine people, but also she has a family that have been in a chief and council. So, they know about these certain protocols and certain ways of behaving. And same here, my late grandfather, Dr. Reverend Chief John Snow, was the leader of our nation for like 26 years in a row. And while he was in that, there's just a specific kind of way you got to live your life and, not damage anybody's reputation or anything like that because there's a certain way you need to carry yourself.
Thank you for that. Um, so I'm wondering if you could share a little bit about who your teachers were.
Okay. Do you want to go? Because I have a long list.
So my teachers are on my mom's side would be my grandpa Clifford Duran, and his wife was Doris Duran. My grandpa was Chippewa Cree from Rocky Boy Nation, and my grandmother was Blackfeet from Browning. And then on my dad's side, it would be my granny and grandpa that was Brink and Mary Onespot, and they taught they raised my dad, and so my dad got that whole like got to like learn everything from them. It was very beautiful. Um so my dad so I learned a lot from my dad and my mom because they both came from really strong families. And I hungry at my dad's mom. So Lottie once bought she was a really good traditional cook. She taught us to do like the cutting up the meat and so she
I
would
get that.
yeah, like and then she made really awesome berry soup and she made all those traditional foods. So I would always sit in or stand in the kitchen and watch her. And then she would be cutting up her meat, her like moose or elk, and I'd be sitting beside her. She'd be sticking it in my mouth and I'd be eating raw meat sitting beside her. Yeah, so and kidney, yeah, she would always give us that raw kidney and we'd just be sitting beside her and um so my grandma, this is on my dad's side. So both my parents were both come from really traditional families and the knowledge and everything like that was passed down to me. So then growing up, like I really love all the people that were mentioned in my life and the people that I seen growing up and so those are my teachers. Yeah. Oh, did I mention my mom's name?
Yes. Oh, you're
No.
an
So my mom is Carla One Spot and my dad is Michael Divine One Spot. Yeah.
You can really hear your sense of pride and gratitude when you're speaking about them.
Yeah, yeah. It's nice because they when they teach you these things like say you're berry picking or picking medicines and um it's very like you feel grounded and then you're just like patient. So me as a woman, now I have um 5 children and I have one more baby on the way. All of that comes to play and I was like so patient.
Thank you for sharing. Kyle, would you like to?
Yeah, so I guess you could say my first teacher was my mother, Rachel Snow. Just upbringing, right? My second teacher would be my late grandfather because I remember we used to go for walks all the time, and he would show me about the different plants, and he would show me what they were used for. But also, we would snare, we would go hunting, we would try and trap game. But after that, it got a little bit Ari, but I have three teachers that passed away. So Titus Crow spreads his wings. The late Titus Crow spreads his wings. Uh, Verneil Mark and late Murtis Mark were all my teachers, and if it wasn't for late Titus, I would have been on a different path. But it was because of him. He invited me to the Sundance, and there is where I started my journey of learning. And my other teachers were teaching me powwow, so I was learning ceremony, Sundance, and powwow songs all in the same year. And those are the biggest teachers. I have other teachers like my friend Lane Mark. He taught me how to sing round dance. He actually encouraged me to get out of my shell. And then there's Daryl Cooney. Me and him we used to dance like competitively against each other on the power trail growing up. But he's also my teacher because there's things he teaches me still, like, and he's my younger brother. There's Lionel Crow spreads his wings. He's a medicine man, pipe carrier, and he also was at the Sundance, and he gave me my right as a drum keeper. And after that, I had multiple teachers. I had Christopher Pegram. He was a facilitator and educator out in Morley, Alberta. But he really encouraged me to sing growing up. He's one of my teachers and mentors. He also gave me a song recently, handed down, and I really appreciate that because I really think he's an awesome singer and he's got a really deadly voice. But he thinks that about me, and I'm like, no, 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 you're the best. But I've had those teachers growing up. I can honestly say Gina's brother, Michael, her father, Churchill. I call him Churchill. But yeah, like there's those people. My auntie Gloria, my uncle Ken. Those are the teachers that they they teach me the things that I need to know or the things that I don't know. They're there as advisors, as coaches, as mentors, as teachers, and those are the people that help me on my journey and get to where I need to get to in this life here.
Thank you for sharing. You can really tell how big of an impact they had on you. So, my condolences too to your losses. How important, as knowledge keepers, do you believe it is to pass on this knowledge to the next generation?
I feel it is important because if we don't teach it or share it, it'll be lost. And there's some cultures and traditions that have been lost and ceremonies that have been lost. I don't want to go too far back as to saying like because of genocide and all this, but what it really is that yeah, like in today's world, if you're not willing to learn these skills, they're going to be lost. And that's why these elders are always getting after young people to get in the sweats, get to these ceremonies because they're trying to find somebody to pass this on to. And there's not a lot of young people that are willing to come to these ceremonies or learn because there's YouTube, TikTok, all this other stuff that kids are interested in nowadays that, kind of belittles the culture or kind of leaves it in the back. So that's why I think it's very important to share this knowledge and this culture and this tradition because that's who we are as a people. And once we have lost that, then who are we?
Thank you. Cheetah, would you mind speaking on it?
So for myself, like I have children and like as a mom, you have like anxieties just thinking about them not having that culture, that belief and because it really helps us yeah, like every day when they like call it. Like I think is really important. And I think that like a lot of people should get into the culture so you feel more connected, you know?
I like that part though, what you said about the kids, because then that's right there is making sure that you know that you're obligated to teach these kids something traditional culturally, and that's something that I really take into heart because we do stuff like that. Talking about tradition and passing down that knowledge. I made this drum, but I made it with her son, and we painted it and we did the hide, and I showed him how to do it. The stitching on it. This is a deer hide sinew, and this is just I think it's a cedar rim. But so we made this drum together. But I wanted him to learn that you have to sit there, and it takes patience. You can't get this done in 10 minutes, right? Like you have to work, you have to be accurate, you have to listen. there's no instructions here that says this is how you start it. Like it's all up here, right? Like eyes, ears, keep your mouth shut. We're gonna learn, right? So he learned how to do that. And then our other boy, Osito, I made him this drum because I was always singing around in the house, and he'd always come and ask for my drum, and I was like, "But this is mine, right?" So I was when yeah, and then when I give it to him, it was real huge. He couldn't hold it. I was like, "Okay, well, I think I'll make him a drum." So this is actually elk hide, sinew, and then again a cedar rim. But this is the so going back, my teacher Lionel Crow Spreads His Wing gave me the right to be a drum carrier and a drum keeper. And this is like a little bit of that, of what I'm learning or what I've learned, right? To to pass down to the next generation. And then I don't know if you guys can see this or I can pull it out. Like we got a drum room here. I have some hides outside that I'm going to be making a drum. This is just a practice drum, just to kind of go up and sing with whoever, teach. But in the future, I'll be making more of these. But this is just again with the teaching and the pass down the knowledge, the drum carrying, the drum keeping is something that once you learn it, you'll have all of these materials, and people will literally drop off hides and drop off materials for you just to get your things done. And that's what community believes in you, or they believe in your work, is when they come and offer you things to do stuff.
How special is it now to have the community believe in you so much?
Always they telling me, you're awesome, you're a deadly singer, you're a deadly beater, blah 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 blah. But sometimes I don't feel that. Like I'm kind of like, oh, like why are you calling me? Like there's these other people I know that you could call that would do a better job, but they're like, no, we need you, we want you. So I'm like, okay, so I go and I it's my upbringing. My upbringing is how I conduct myself because I was very shy when I was younger. My late grandparents would always have these visitors come over from different communities, different reserves, indigenous, non-indigenous, and they would always like not force me, but say, "Go grab some coffee and tea and bring it to the visitors, and then ask them if they want milk or sugar or tea or whatever." So over doing that over time and time, I eventually just got used to people coming up to me, like elders or young people, and asking me something, and I'll just get up and do it for them because that was the upbringing. So that's kind of where it's hand in hand or tied and tied.
Thank you. Now, to build on that, what sorts of events do the two of you facilitate and teach within the community?
Okay, so um, we facilitate in lots of different areas. We facilitated just a program recently in Banff. It was the Canadian Roots Exchange. We were there. Gina and her brother were teaching hand games and stick games, and the history of it. And then I was in there beating a banner with participants from different nations, and just collaboratively working with people. And that's just like one job, though. There's other jobs that we have done where was it last year in Kootenay Plains? We're in Kootenay Plains, and we attended a hunt camp with what's his name, Scott. I can't remember his last name, but he was a First Nations cook from Ontario that came out, and he was cooking traditional meals. And me and Gina were, you could say, were the entertainment. They were sharing songs, and whenever we go out and do stuff, we were there also as supervisors, but also as volunteers, helping the young participants learn different things like teepee setting, setting up teepees, doing hides, and cutting up the meats and learning how to cook with them with the traditional ingredients. So there's like lots of different events that we wear or do, and we both wear different hats for different organizations. So we're kind of constantly all over the place.
He was really busy last year too. He was doing the beading classes. Yeah. There's a lot of people now that are really getting into the hats. Yeah, sure. He did a lot of that. We also do like the round dance demonstration.
Mhm.
Yeah. We'll go to like schools and teach like the kids to like
To do the round dance together,
it's
the friendship day.
and everybody gets together and hold it the same. A lot of people have in Calgary to Tongkutney, and so they get me and Kyle to go to a lot of these companies that are opening, and they get us to do the opening honor song and
Opening song, acknowledgement. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, and then we'll sing and then So I really think that's really nice.
So, so
Mhm.
I guess you could say like I work with like I said, I have different hats for different organizations. I work with Further Education Society of Alberta as a facilitator and educator. It's alternative learning. We do drums, we do beading hats, we make survival bowls. Like we also do that in hunt camps with the Snow family. Um, there's Telespark Science Center. I'm an organizer with that organization, and I've organized kind of like a it was a big project for Telespark Science Center out in Kananaskis at the Barrier Lake Field Station. Organized an event in my area, but there was like 10, I think, or 15 organizers. Pretty crazy. And then also the Nakota Youth Council out in Morley, Alberta. I'm one of the representatives, and I wherever I go, I kind of have to represent my people. So that's the Ambuatino, good day, Kasno Mieno, Kasno, and I just represent my people, and that's one of the biggest things I think you could say about knowledge keeping or knowledge sharing is that 200-300 years ago there'd be a young man and an elder would notice that the young man could speak the language and he could probably learn other languages and represent his people. So then that elder would take that young man to all these different nations and introduce him to these other nations and say, one day when I'm not here, this young man will be here to represent our nation. And then that's the tradition of carrying on that. I don't know how to say it, but it's almost like marketing back in the day, right? But like I still carry that tradition today when I speak my language and I represent like my traditional beadwork and my family, but also my people. And when I meet other people, I try to show respect in their culture. Like let's say we go to a Blackfoot territory, I'll say uki napi, which means hello, my friend. But then I'm also going to say ambua dino, right, to let him know where I'm from. And a lot of people will take that as a sign of respect. But if you go to somebody else's reserve and you're just like, oh, umbu a stitch, they take that as a disrespect because you're a little bit ignorant, not willing to learn their language. So it's tradition. That's where it comes in hand in upbringing.
To mention the Omeris or the because we're talking about like little things that we work for. Um, it's a really beautiful place called the Lodging Tourist Ranch, and I wanted to acknowledge them as well because they always get me and my brother, like my family, and Kyle's joining us, and we'll go teach like hanging and stuff. And then that's kind of like giving back to like the reserve, you know. And then they would bring other people from different reserve to our reserve, and it's really nice.
What inspired the two of you to be so involved in the community?
I guess you could say it was the community because they would not pressure us, but ask us to go to certain events, that sometimes we really had no business being there, but we would still be there. Like they were here, like we might as well just take part in this event. But I would say that what inspired me in the community to be a part of the community is by the community. Like just certain people coming up to me and telling me they love the way I sing. Uh, your singing is medicine. I love your beadwork. I love your hats. Things like that. And then for other people from my community to be like, hey, we need you to come over here to represent our people or to speak on our behalf. That really builds up your confidence and like your not just inspiration but your motivation to go out and do stuff for the community. Like there's people that want to see you, that want to hear what you have to say, and that you're there, and that when you see other people at these events or these things in the community, it inspires me to see that I'm not the only one that's doing this. There's another person over here from this nation that's trying. There's people that are trying to, work together in different areas, but like it it's not all the same work, but we're all working towards the same goal.
I like when the elders ask me to go cook. Yeah, so I like when they ask me to go do the like a feast food, or they'll ask me to do like my famous soup. So I make this like big it's like like beef rib soup, and a lot of the like elders really like it. So that's what I like. Yeah. And then you see like all the kids and you make all their like snacks and like ambrosia salads and stuff. Yeah, so I like cooking.
Thank you to the two of you for sharing. How I'm just wondering how important do you believe it is for non-Indigenous community members to hold that space for Indigenous voices and ways of life and to learn about the history
I think it's very important that non-Indigenous hold space for First Nations and Indigenous because ever since Canada started, there's never been like this thing called inclusion. And with that being said, like we work together, but at the end of the day, I don't know you, you don't know me, you don't know anything about my people, right? But I know everything like about yours. I'm speaking your language, right? So for me, it's for non-indigenous to hold space for indigenous is kind of like that reconciliation, giving back, the TRC, Every Child Matters movement, because the way life is it's not sunshine and rainbows, but like we're trying really hard to work with these communities to build this relationship of inclusion. That's what it is. It's inclusion.
Now, Gina, would you mind telling us a little bit about harvesting and the traditional way of doing it?
Yes, so it's all about different seasons. So when the season is ready, we all get ready to go to like certain areas of like different places. So it's good to make lots of friends with other people from other reserves.
Connection.
Yeah, connections. And like during harvest, we'll go to our area and we'll pick the medicines that they need, and then they'll be picking their medicine. So then we'll meet and we'll start doing the trades. And then that's still a big thing right now. And my parents kept that with us, and they want us to continue to keep these connections with all these other families, so we can do all these trades and like berry picking, medicines, um, and especially in the summertime and spring, we're so busy getting all our medicines ready because it's a long winter, you know, in Alberta. So
I just wanted to say really quick, Gina didn't add was so with the traditional picking, the medicine picking, like she was talking about how we trade medicines with people. It's pretty cool because through work and through those connections, me and Gina, I have some distant relatives on my side of the family talked to Gina at this event, and then they realized that Gina's grandparents used to come to that.
my great grandma.
Yeah, they used to come to this area and trade that medicine. So they rebuilt that connection, and we're going to start doing it this year where they're going to pick their medicine and then they're going to trade. So it's pretty cool how that works. That's that tradition and heritage right there, like that passed down the knowledge. So that's just something I wanted to add that I noticed this year.
Must be so special to, not only be a part of it, but to be aware of it. That cycle continuing. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to learn more. Like, I want to meet more people so we can share more medicines and teachings and stuff like
Mhm.
that. And like during harvest, it's like you can even pick like food, you know. Yeah, so I want to learn that from other people. Like my parents, we can go really far and then we'll do like trades because the stuff that they need, and then we. And it's a long travel though.
Yeah,
You have the
24 hours, 28 hours.
yeah.
I just want to clarify though, is it a closed practice?
The medicine picking?
Yeah.
It, it is and it isn't. There's some medicines that you could just find on the side of the highway. Anybody will just get off their like literally their vehicle and go pick sage, right? There's some areas though where you would have to like, especially like on First Nations territory, you would want to be doing the right protocols of like maybe asking, presenting tobacco, stuff like that, right? So it's a hard question to answer. So some people they just pick this stuff, right? Then some people actually go to people and ask them, how would I go about this, right? And what's the protocol? So it's an open and closed question, right? So I guess for me, I would say that it is like taboo to share, but like it all depends, right? Like if we had an elder here, he'd be telling us, but those medicines are to share with the people, to help the people. And but for me, it's like, but we don't want to share the location. So there's all these different problems in the air, errors or whatever. So
Well, and to with location, my message would be to like land owners like that are not native, that they kind of get offended when we go towards their area, but that used to be like one of our areas that we used to like go and like pick certain things, but then they closed it off with fence.
mhm.
And so I think my message out there would be like, hey,
I understand them. Yeah.
Yeah, because we don't, when we pick, we're not taking out the roots for everything will grow back.
Yeah.
There's a certain way we were taught to
To
pick.
pick.
And then the next year it'll be fresh and it'll even grow back more, you know? So it's important for us to be.
So it just kind of goes back to learning and understanding, like, yeah, traditional history and ways of life. Ask before do, kind of.
Yeah.
Now, in a different direction, would you mind, Kyle, sharing a bit about drumming and maybe your own journey with it?
Sure. So for drumming, I remember I was 15, on the school bus, and I was listening to a Northern Cree Round Dance song, and I was trying to sing it. And then my friend beside me, Lane, was like, "You're not singing it right." I said, "What do you mean?"
Mm.
"You're singing with your throat. What are you supposed to do?" "I'll show you." So I went to his house, and he was the one who got me out of that shy that shell. I remember I was too scared to sing in front of a person. I was too scared to sing. And I kept messing up my beat and kept laughing and saying, "You're overthinking it, you're overdoing it. Just pretend nobody's here, right?" And then he was like, "Scream." I was like, "What are you screaming, man?" So I screamed, and it's like, that's like your war cry, and you have to like kind of goes with singing, right? So he was the one who showed me how to control and use my voice. And then I had other teachers though, but I stated previously that took me to ceremony, took me to Sundance, brought me to powwows, and really took the time to sit there and show me what I needed to learn. I'll tell you a little story about late Murtis Mark. We had a powwow, and we're doing the drum pickup. And the way I was doing it was I was just going like this. And he said, "That's not how you do it." So, "Well, how do you do it?" And he said, "It's like, you ever ridden a horse?" And I said, "Yeah, it's like a kind of certain bounce to it." He said, "Imagine that being in your hands." So when you're doing that drum pickup, he said, rather than going like this, he said, you rock back and forth with your hand and that beat will come automatically rather than you trying to find it. You know what I mean? And I was like, no. So then I was sitting there and he did the drum pickup. He grabbed my drumstick and he's showing me like how to do it. And I was watching, and then I was listening, and then the drums started to go, and then I was on beat with them, and I was like, "Oh, like how?" Like I kind of looked at him, and he just laughed, and he was still singing. And after that, like when he was done, I was just like, "Oh." I pulled out a cigarette, I gave it to him, and I was like, "Thank you for showing me that." Like I wouldn't have known that if you hadn't shown me that, right? So I guess you could say, the Mark family really helped me a lot with my singing growing up, like when I was young. And it was the Crow family that was like, you have a strong, powerful voice. Your voice is medicine. You should come to the Sundance. So I did my 4 to 5 years in Piconnie, and then I did my last year in Shuswap territory, and I received that right after. He made me put together a drum there. I was doing it, and I kind of messed up a little. And he was like, "What are you doing?" I don't know. And he just laughed, and he was like, "Did you learn anything?" And he's showing me, and I was like, "I did." Sitting there. When he finished the job and he was looking at it, "All right, let it dry." The next day, boom, he's like, "You got it. You did it. Like now you know the songs, you know how to make the drums." And he said the sticks, because there's lots of different styles of sticks out there. He said, You're going to learn that however you want to learn that, right? But these are the main things that you needed to learn, because the big drum is for a group of people to sing together, and the hand drum, the gamupi, it's a drum to sing by yourself or in ceremony. The warriors back in the day would have these drums, and we don't have microphones back then, so our speakers, so you would have to be loud. Your voice would have to carry so that people can hear you and know what songs you're singing, and they would understand what you mean before you would even go and talk to them. So there's a lot of different things with singing and the drums and the different styles of making it. This drum here is a Blackfoot style drum that I learned from Lionel Crow Spreads His Wings. He showed me this style here. And then the handle is actually you can make the handle however you want. So I just made mine quick, cheap. But this is a little bit about the drumming. So there's a powwow, ceremony, Sundance, hand games, round dance. There's very, very different styles of drumming. So I guess I could show you a little bit. This would be a powwow. And then the round dance has 2 beats. This is the old style beat. And then this is the contemporary, the newer beat. And I'm just actually using my finger and I'm stopping the hide, or I'm like while it's vibrating, I use my nail to stop it. Then I hit it again to get that beat. Can you hear that? My nail? Yeah. But the ceremony is a different style of drumming. Uh, I guess I can't show you that, but honor song. This is an honor song beat. So when you're listening to music, when you know the different styles of beats and drums, you can already understand what song they're singing. So when you hear that one beat, kind of about to sing an honor song. So some people right away will take their hats off and stand up before they even start singing because they know what song that is. And then there's like a victory song, right? So there's different styles of singing and different styles of drumming. But I really like the contemporary style of drumming, like.
What do you think yourself when you were first learning would say about yourself now? If they could, hear how far you've come.
My younger self, my younger self would be like, "Who's this counselor?" Yeah, my younger self would be, well, I guess amazed at just who the person that I became. Because when I was younger, I thought I was going to be a firefighter. Like that's the person that I thought I was going to be. I actually did firefighting for a year and a half in Morley. I went to the firefighter training and did my confined spaces. We were actually how many houses we put out? Like 148 house fires in 2 years. It was fun being a firefighter, but I seen some not good stuffies, which really affected my mental health. So I got out of it and I just kind of got into other things and just I'm your jack of all trades. I can learn something, train for something, and I can get on it.
Thank you for sharing so much about your journey. Now, Gina, would you mind sharing a little bit about your singing journey and how you started?
How it started? So when we used to travel to the ceremonies, and sometimes we travel like really far, like to like Ontario, Wisconsin, Nevada. So all these trips were really like long. So my mom and dad, they made it fun for us. And so me and my brothers, they would make us sing songs. And they would teach us songs that was passed down from my granny and grandpa on the Sutena side. And so that would be the Sutena songs. And my dad would teach us, would be singing and singing and singing. And then on my mom's side, my grandpa Clifford Duran, my mom would sing us all the songs from him. So we got the best of both worlds. We got to sing like the Cree songs, and then we got to sing the Sutena songs, and then also hanging when we're just messing around. Yeah, like we'll just be driving and we'll just like hide something and we'll be singing and dancing and then we'll like just make it fun because back then we didn't have like the Game Boys and stuff. So a lot of it would just be like a lot of singing and my mom and dad they would tell me not to be shy because they say like your singing is healing and you don't know who's there that's gonna feel something from it. So always have like a good mindset and just keep singing and sing loud. My mom all the time, she'll be like, sing loud, sing loud. And so like, yeah. And then sometimes I wouldn't want her to like make me feel shy when we're around people because she'll be real like stern, like sing loud and say that in front of people. And I'll be like, so before she says that, I'll be like, I'll just bust down and just sing really loud. Yeah, my mom and dad, they just used to make me sing all the time. One of the songs that really helped me hit my really high note was that southern voice. So
Like the lower singing.
yeah, it's high, it's loud, it's like a strong voice, but it's a southern sound.
A lower tone.
Yeah, because in
Northern is a higher tone.
it's really high. Yeah, but then I grew up with a lot of northern girls too, so they taught me to sing like loud. So there was like a lot of people that I learned from that like taught me like different like tones. And then I had some cousins that played hand games and those girls used to teach me different like ways of singing hand game. So
And what do you think your younger self would say if they could hear you sing now?
I think they would be. I think for myself, I would be proud. Yeah, because I've come a long ways, and especially meeting Kyle, we got more out there because I was more of a private singer. Like at the hangings, everybody's singing. And ceremony, your eyes are closed, so you can sing as loud as you want because it's dark, or sometimes it's like there's light sometimes, but it's a ceremony mode, you know? So, like, with Kyle, I'm actually pretty happy because we get to like sing in front of like different audience, you know, and different like singers and stuff. So everything that I imagined when I was younger, because I wanted to be a singer and I wanted my voice to be heard like more.
Okay, so there's this lady named Jane that I met at an event in Cochrane, and she asked me if me and Gina would be willing to collaborate with choir and band
Mhm.
in Cochrane. So Cochrane Music Society asked us to come and join with them and perform. And we were there at the Bow Valley High School. We performed with the band. We did a couple songs. Did these songs with them. And honestly, when I first did it, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. But we practiced, we tried, and that's the confidence in that upbringing is like our families always taught us that when you have a job or when you have an order or when you have something, you're not representing yourself, you're representing a name, a family name. So when you're doing stuff, keep that in mind, so that people, they'll talk, right? Like if you do an order and let's say you have 1 week to do something like this and you take 2 weeks or a month, somebody's going to say something like, hey, that person ripped me off, blah, 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 blah. So rather than having any of that, that's why we always just do what we're supposed to do when it's offered to us or when it's presented to us, get it done and make sure you have it. So that's our upbringing and teaching. So that when we do stuff, we're always like looking at it from different views and trying to figure out how we can make it better. And then we just go for it. And the confidence.
Best of all the different worlds, man. Now, when did the two of you start performing together?
Last June,
Last June.
last year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Last
After that, we just start doing a bunch of cover songs of like other artists because there's a lot of beautiful singers out there that sing really good songs.
hmm
And then in that, like other people when they sing other people's songs, it's not that you're taking it. It's just like
It's like the copyright thing.
no, well, no, I'm just saying like it helps other singers learn and so like sing like especially if you're like running a singing class, like you want to like sing all these different melodies and different songs, so it's teaching. Yeah. But that's what we did. That's how we were practicing together.
And then one thing though that we do is like if we ever post somebody else's song, we make sure that we give out their who's the song by, who's it composed by, and what's the song about. But then we're the cover artists, right? We're just covering it.
Yeah.
We always make sure that people have their copyright. So we're not copying them, but like we're just sharing their music because we love it.
Do the two of you have any songs together?
Yes, we have two together. One was handed down and given to me, and I did just our song, and then Gina actually composed the song, and then I learned it, and then now that's our song. I have more songs, but we need to learn them more because we sing our two songs, and then we'll sing like an opening honor song. We actually have an honor song too that it's given to me as well, handed down from family. So that's a song we could share too.
And he made a song for me that's we actually dated when we were 15.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, when we were younger. And he still call me on the phone and he'd be like, oh, singing like different songs to me. And then yeah. So he said that
I made her a song.
yeah, he made me a song, but like when we ended up breaking up because my dad said not right now because I was still too young. I was like 15. He wasn't ready for me to like, focus on a relationship and stuff. So I had to tell him like
Pardon?
see you in the future. Just kidding. And then he said he seen me at a powwow. And then he made a song when he seen me.
Yeah.
And then yeah, that's one day.
And then we didn't meet again till after I turned 31, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when I turned 31, the day after my birthday, we met up and had our talk.
Well, how special is it though that you found each other? Yeah.
Yeah. I know a lot of girls, or maybe just me, I don't know. But I always wanted it's like a traditional partner, like a person that we could talk about like the culture together. We can live by the culture. We can teach our children's the culture. Like together, even though we're both not from the same reserve, but like what I learned is like, because I traveled a lot, like a lot of us, we're all praying to creator, but in a different language.
Mhm.
And it's all like similar in a way.
But not the same.
We're looking at the same mountain, but all different views. Yeah. But it's, you know, I found him and
Like this.
yeah, well, we found each other, we got connected again. And I think it's really nice because it made things easy for us, and especially our backgrounds of our families. And they're so supportive with us.
Mhm. My mom really likes her.
That's important.
Yeah.
And my parents really like him because he like, my parents like to joke a lot. They joke so much. So
Like to tease a lot.
oh, they like to tease, and so they tease him, and he's just it's pretty awesome because he can tease back. It's just like that's how beautiful people are. Once you get really close and connected, and then you feel comfortable with each other, then native people like to tease with each other. They'll say like a bunch of crazy jokes.
That's how you know you're part of the family is either if they're fighting with you or if they're just hazing you all the time. Yeah. So you're like, okay, you're part of the family. Well, so,
Such a sweet story, fishy, I'll see you later. And it actually did.
yeah.
And then he wrote her a song too.
And it's really nice because when I lived down south, he posted a song on YouTube. And at the time, YouTube was kind of the thing to post your songs. And then I posted a song it was just a hand game song. And when I used to just, like clean up my house and stuff, and then or putting my babies to sleep, I used to play his song. It was like it was he sang it in his language. And the neat thing about it is like I knew him at one time, like me and him really got along when we first met. And then it was too bad that we had to like go our different ways and stuff. But um in a way I think like we were connected in some way because when we seen each other, it was just like time never passed.
I mean, it's like yesterday.
Yeah, so like seeing with each other, joking with each other, staying on the phone. No, you hands on it.
Not gonna do that. I would not. No, no.
Did you end up singing that song that was on YouTube in person?
Like I tour him up, we sung it together, but that song unfortunately does not belong to me. It belongs to Steve Crawler. But like we say, growing up, we learned other people's songs just to help us kind of catch that tune or that rhythm,
Mhm.
and then we share it still. Like we'll sing that song, and we'll say this is by Steve Crawler. This is the song, but we're singing it.
Yeah. I'm just curious, what do the two of you hope to accomplish in the community in the future?
We have these conversations every now and again, especially late at night. I want to help my people, my community, but like that's the thing. When I say that, you have to think of the other communities beside us because like we're one. We're Canada, Kanata. It means one big village, right? So my community is beside Cochrane and Exshaw, and we're building right now. We're building a relationship with Cochrane. So in my community, the one thing that I'm trying to do is I want to help the people. Not just like financially, but like through skills and trades, but also, what's the biggest thing on every reserve? Transportation issues. So why not get shuttles, get a registry on the reserve, start getting people their licenses, defensive driving courses, stuff like that. Those are the things that need to be implemented is like you have to see what the problem is and then attack it head on rather than hawking about it constantly. Because that's where everything gets, what do you say, like nullified is that they will sit there and talk about the issue and not do anything about it. You need to do something about it. Like we need those people that are gonna not sit there and have 50 meetings to talk about one issue when you can have somebody just say, screw that, let's just take some money and get these people some rides to the city, to whatever to get groceries. Like those are the things that are important, helping your community like that. But also traditionally it's like the medicines, the singing, the language, and the culture, like those are important too. So that's what we're trying to do is we have these skills that we've grown up with in these trades, but like we want more. We want to learn more because if nobody else our age is going to be doing this, then we need to attain as much as we can so that we can be those teachers in the future and share as much as we can. Because I know for a fact there's a lot of people my age that aren't doing what we are doing. So, and that's like that inspiration and motivation what builds me up is because it's sad to go to a ceremony when there's just elders and kids and there's no young men to help these elders with what they need. So that's why every day when somebody's like, "Pa, you have to be at this thing. We need you to chop wood. We need you to do something." That's why I say I'm a jack of all trades because I can go to all these different things and try to help as much as I can.
So you're being that representation too.
Yeah, but also like being me, Yitka, Stony. So when I go to places, Sukena, her dad, I always say, Danitara, Umbo a stitch. And he always just laughs because he's like, you said it a little bit like I'm like whatever, like I'm trying, right? He's like, but so like we joke, but like we still keep that tradition and culture strong. Where he even what is it, Gucha? How do you say that?
Puja.
It means how are you or good? Yeah, yeah. So, but he said that to me, and I was like, what? No, but he told me, and I was like, oh, okay. But over time, like he's teaching me like just a little bit of the words, and when you go to Satina, you can read their signs, and I'm trying to like speak it, and so he always laughs and he thinks it's good when I try to learn the language or share it. And then when I speak, like he'll have visitors come and I'll ask them where they're from. And then as soon as I know, I'm like, oh, Tansei, Buenato, or Uki Napi, or Ambo a Stitch, right? Like I let them know that like they're welcome. So that's like the biggest thing that we're always going off about our upbringing, our teachings, and sharing with the community, but also like, doing it in a professional and healthy way, not showing up to these things, like 20 minutes late or anything like that, but like, getting there and then, the protocol and then teaching them what they need to know. I had a couple young kids from Cochrane School, First Nations from Morley, ask me just to come and chill with me in a day. And I'm like, well, what do you want to do? And they're like, I don't know. What do you do? And it's like, sometimes I like to play the game, it's loud, yeah, but it's like, I do bead and I work lots. So I feel that I'm becoming a mentor and a leader, even though I don't think of myself in that way. There's a lot of young people that are like, can you teach me how to do this? Can you teach me? And I'm like, yeah, but like, I kind of don't have the time because I'm all over the place and I'm working for different places. So like when I do, I'll come back and I'll show you. So I have a couple events in Cochrane where these students want me to come there and just teach them stuff. So that's how you give back to the community.
It's very special. Do you have any words maybe for some of those reconnecting who
Oh, like people who are reconnecting.
Yeah, I want lots of people to reconnect and to like reach out and like especially people our age because like our teachers are getting older. Like the time is now. We all need to um just get into it or learning about it and it's a little if you're like a beginner, um you'll get there like with the language and the praying and like it's like all the knowledge and beading, because our children's gonna need it. We're growing, our people we're growing and we're getting bigger and it would be so much nicer to expand that knowledge.
thank you to the two of you for the work you're doing and passing on this knowledge and teaching that next generation. I'm just wondering what do you think your ancestors would say if they could see the work you're doing?
Like the first thing my ancestors would say is learn the language, yeah, learning more. Yeah. But other than that, no, like I think they'd be happy or a little bit proud because like what I'm wearing today is I used to watch my late grandpa go to meetings, conferences, and he'd always wear a cowboy hat with a bolo tie and he'd wear a suit. And I always thought that was real Western. It's a Western look, right? And then growing up, I was like, I want to have that same look, but I don't want to wear cowboy hats. Like, I did grow up on a ranch and have done ranch work, but I'm like, I'm not a cowboy, right? Like, I don't wear boots, I wear shoes. But so I bought this fedora. It's a Western fedora, and I beaded it. And when I did it, I was like, hey, this is like my generation, my kind of a look, right? So I feel like it looks similar to my like grandpa's look, but it's my own thing. Like I digitized the modern look. and I'm continuing to do that. Like I want to make rawhide laptop bags and stuff like that. Like I want to start making things and like being more creative. But just right now, it's just I'm just having fun with it. Honestly, like I'm just enjoying it. Like beading and stuff. Like that's my piece. I love listening to music. And honestly, when I start beading, I can listen to music and just sit there. And then there's some days where like Gina do like, you beat it so long, you're not bored or anything, you're not tired. It's just like, oh, like, sit here and bead, right? Like it's my favorite thing to do.
I think though, my grannies and the older ladies, like the women, I think they'll be pretty proud of me because um I'm still fearing on the picking medicines and the harvesting and I'm still doing the old style cooking, but I'm also adding my own spices to it if it was not so plain. um Also like teaching my daughters right now. And I think they'll be pretty proud of me right now. And especially like carrying on the voice, so like still singing and talking with other women. I love talking with other women, like um sharing each other's knowledge and stuff like that. I love that. I'm speaking as a woman. Yeah. So for myself.
Another thing that I was gonna say though is that we also like, we grew up speaking English, but we still incorporate the language in our with our kids and in our teachings.
Well, yeah.
So with the kids, I'll tell them all in the language before I say it in English, so that it's constantly in their ears. So when I say like "skashingawo," it means don't do that, right? But I'll say it first, and they're like, "What?" And it's like, "Don't do that." Oh, but then when you constantly keep doing it, over time, they're gonna be like knowing what these words mean. And I always say it to her son Kenzo. He's like, "Where's this?" Or "How do you know anything about this?" And I'm always like, "Shiwashino," and it just means I don't know, right? So he's always like, "What?" I'm like, "I don't know, man." But I'm always saying, and he always looks at me when I speak the language, and he's like, "What are you saying?" Right? But and then Usito, he's just learning how to talk, but it's funny because I'm just everything they say is just in the language to him and he gets it. Like so it's really funny. Like I'll be like, "110," and he'll just come over to me and I'm like, "Yeah, it means come here." And then I'll be like, "Hati wo," and it just means like excuse me or move out of the way. And he'll run it off or something. So I just laugh, but like he could understand it. So that's why I'm like, that's really good. Like and I over time I was taught to speak English first so that I could understand sarcasm and skepticism. But then the reason why I wanted to go back to the language is because if I want to be a medicine person or this person that I'm trying to be, it's always good to go back to your roots and learn a little bit about your language, culture, tradition. So for me, the biggest thing is the language because I'm not trying to brag and say, "Oh, I know the culture, I know the tradition," but I have a good sense of it. But it's the language where I'm like, I feel that area needs to grow and build and be better. So that's why my biggest thing is being like in the language and learning the language.
I think it'd be the root.
Yeah, so I guess you could say that that kind of answers that question of people trying to come back in or trying to learn their culture. It's like you have to be willing to try, and you got to remember it's patience. It's not going to happen in a day. It's not going to happen in a year. Probably take 5 years because like that's how long it probably takes to learn a language fluently. Is 5 years to speak it like where you just understand it.
And sacrifice. If
Yeah.
you sacrifice things that are you're like addicted to and you change it into and you channel that energy into like the culture,
Mhm.
that really helps as well. Hmm.
I like that you brought that up because with addiction, the opposite of addiction is connection. So if you're addicted to something, you can't be connected. And if you're connected to something, then you more likely won't become addicted to anything, right? Yeah.
Thank you. Um, Curious what your child self would say if they could hear you speaking, and see the work that you're doing. What do you think they would say?
I don't think I believe in it or believe that what I'm doing is because in my mind I was so dead set to be a firefighter. So I'd be like, "What are you doing? Like, you should get your older brother to do that and go help the people by saving their houses."
And for myself, I think I'm pretty proud of myself and everything it was even before school. So I missed a lot of school
Hmm.
and it was like, we're always on the road to go to the next like ceremony or we're on the next road to like hand games and and powwows and hand games were together, but I wasn't really too much into the powwow, just like kind of like my mom would get me like outfits, so I would go there and I'll be dancing by myself, and that's where I learned to be confident because like I would be at the powwow by myself, and then I'd run into like an old family member or a cook, like an old lady that was like nice to me from the last powwow, and I'll go, bug her, sit by her, and then go back to the hand games. And then when we got to a certain age, when the hand games started having youth tournaments, then I kind of put my my plumes away, outfit away, and I start really getting into hand games. And then, yeah, it was really fun. Mhm.
It's funny because while she was growing up like that in hand games, I was on the other side learning the powwow. I danced fan, junior boys fancy, uh, teen boys grass. But then while I was dancing grass, I switched over, alternated to men's traditional. And then it wasn't until I hit traditional where I actually started like almost getting first place at every powwow. It was a trip, but it's funny because like she learned the hand games and then learned powwow, and then like just a year ago, I finally learned hand games. And her dad was we went outside and we were all just kind of sitting out chilling. It was a hot day. He's like, "You guys want to learn how to play hand games?" And I don't know how to play, but I'll sit here. It was her brother. Her brother really got me into it because there's like you take two bones and one has a symbol on it and the other one's blank, and you're trying to get that blank one. And he would behind his back pull it out, put them up in front of you, right? And yeah, they would try and figure out which hand it's in, right? And he would do this dance like and when they'd pick like let's say this one, he'd go and show you that it wasn't it, but he'd be really dancing and people would be like, it would be so bad, right? Like and you'd be like, oh, how did he do it, right? And so when I was watching him though, that's what really got me into it. I was watching him, I was like, like I was feeling his energy. So now it's funny when we play with like her mom and dad and her family, like I'm really into it, and when they think I'm just like, no, and they just laugh and they're like, they know how to play, he's real cheeky now.
Yeah, exactly.
Rub it in your face, but you
Yeah.
get the wrong one, huh?
Yeah. So yeah, like at first I was really timid, but then now like when we play, I'm just like, hi, I was so excited. Like ask them and they're like, yeah, where we picked you.
Yeah, got too confident. Scared. But no, he's doing really good. I found that he got out of his shell even more when he seen these two elders from Morley playing had games, and they never played for years. And when we did that gathering where we're
Yeah.
and back when we're doing the teaching the hand games, and those two elders played, it just like showed him like from his own reserve, it even made him more proud.
What would you say to your younger self if you could say anything to them?
I would want to tell myself that, just go to school and, you know, alcohol and drugs aren't the way, your friends, yeah, they're cool and stuff, but you'll make friends and connections along the way and just get to school, get to class and finish that what you need to get finished. That's like, once you're done, you're done. You don't have to go back. Yeah.
Um, Listen to the older ones when they're talking to you. Like really take it in and don't challenge them back. Just take what they're saying, even if they're like scolding you or whatever, it's gonna like make sense later.
You spoke briefly about dancing and
Mhm.
how special and important is it to, be practicing these things that were once outlawed.
I guess you could say upbringing. My mom, my uncles, they were power dancers, fancy, traditional, all of it. All the styles, all the categories. I guess I can name them off to you. So there's men's traditional, that's the Sioux style dance. Men's fancy comes from the south, like Oklahoma area and that kind of stuff. The chicken dance is Blackfoot, but the grass dance was the reason why that dance is important is because before the grand entry, the grass dancers would dance, but that is just showing the tradition of when we were younger, before time immemorial. There is a certain like roles and protocol. There was certain warriors that would walk in front of the group, and it's because there's old elders and little kids, and sometimes the trail or the path that they were on, there would be debris or something there in the way, so they would send these like grass dancers and they would go forward and they would clear the path for the older people and the kids to come through. So that's why that dance is very important, and it's always done at the beginning of the powwow before anything. Or like I think there's the pipe ceremony, feast, grass dance, in that order. But after that, there's in the States they have smoke dancing, men and women. It's pretty cool if you watch it. I'm not gonna show you.
I think it's really nice too.
Like my smoke dance is more of like the Métis jig. We'll just stop it there. But then you have women's traditional, which is a Sioux style dance. Then you have jingle dress, which is a healing dance that came from the Ojibwe, Anishinaabe. And then you have your fancy, and I don't know where that comes from, but there's these styles of dances and there's like more than 20, 30 people in one of these categories all competing, and they're wearing outfits that represent their family, their nation, and their dance styles of like passed down traditions and passed down culture. So dancing for me is really important because, like Gina said, my parents would take me out of school and take me on the powwow circuit, and I'd go to all these powwows and represent my family and dance and show our culture. And, at the time I was like, I don't want to do this. I would rather go to school and learn. But then I'm very appreciative and thankful for it now because when I go to a powwow or even an event, sometimes people will be like, hey, you want to wear my outfit and go out and dance? I'm like, not really, but if you really want me to, yeah, I'll do it. Event happened like that just recently with Daryl Cooney. He let me wear his outfit, and he always does this little introduction for me. And I always feel like I'm bragging when he's talking about it because he's like, this guy was a champion dancer, and to have him here is, and I'm just like, yeah, calm down, calm down. Like that was like, 12, 13 years ago. I'm not that person anymore, right? But he still is like, put on my outfit, honor me by going out and dancing. So, oh, okay. So I go out and dance. And to me, dancing I find is very important because you go to a powwow and you hear that drum. I don't even know it, but my feet are already going. And oh, that's kidding now, but yeah, I know, but I can say that dancing is a big part of like culture. And it does, it builds your confidence. It makes you I don't know, it gives you this confidence that you weren't allowed to have that in the 1800s, and to have it now is a really good feeling.
So when I was a little girl, I was taught the jingle dress, and the jingle dress is like the healing dance. So I never like competed, but I would just dance, and then you would always have elders in the front, so you would always like recognize them, and then just like tape what they carry and then away with their fans. So like that's what I was taught. So that was um I like that. I like the powwow with the jingle dress. And but now that I'm with Kyle, um, like I said, we're really into hang games. My mom was a powwow dancer and my dad was a hang game player. So when they met, she really liked the hang games, so she really got into the hang games. And same with us, it was the hang dance. Like so, but when I met Kyle, he's like
The powwow side,
yeah, she's really introducing like us and the kids as a family and like to like join the powwow and to dance and
the round dance.
yeah, then he's had got me like to go to a couple of events and then they would one of his family members dressed me up in their outfits and it was really nice. I thought that was very beautiful. Also, I have a family member that she would let me represent her and I would use her outfit and then so now that me and Kyle are together, we wanna make our own outfits now. We wanna get into it. We've just been so busy with a lot of these like events that we've been doing, like teach
Pop-up event.
yeah, so now as a family, he tells lots of stories to the kids and stuff and he wants them to get into the powwow and we're all excited for it. So yeah.
Well, how amazing is it to be able to introduce each other into these, different communities?
Mhm.
I think it's awesome. We had a kerfuffle moment when we went to the first round dance, and it was just the kids. Like my brother-in-law brought his kid, and then Gina brought hers. And when they're separated, they're really good, but once they're together, chaos.
Mhm.
At the round dance, they're running in and under the chairs, under the tables, and I remember I looked at the arena director, and he was looking right at me, and then he looked at the other arena director, and they were talking. I could literally read his lips. He said, "Whose kid is this?" And he was like, and they both looked at me and they pointed at me, and I was like, put my drum and I put it there. I waited for him, and literally he came running under the table, and I caught him. I was like, "Hey, Joe," I was like, heard him up. We went, sat down at the chairs, and it was like it's okay because he doesn't understand it. He's still learning. This is his first round dance. There's many more to come, so that in the future he'll understand. But then we're kind of like, it was that other kid. Like, that other kid set him off. It's like like right when he saw there's, ah, he started just going crazy. It's like, oh no.
Like it's really high. But that's what just like ceremonies, like
Mhm,
so my kids are getting brought up in a ceremony and so they know you have to sit down, you have to it's quiet time.
mhm,
So now that we're getting into power and round dance because of Kyle, um, we're learning that. We're learning that other type of being patient and calm and get up when you're supposed to and dance. Maybe the next couple round dances they'll be all pros. Like the older ones are pros. It's just because my one guy he's really hyper. Yeah.
Would like to ask about your beading journeys. I understand both of you bead, and I was just hoping maybe you could share a little bit about how you got into it and how it's evolved.
yeah. Um, And lots of different beating stories, I guess. Like my first beating story or beating was actually a medicine bag. I made a medicine bag in a class, and then my brother was making me a power outfit, traditional outfit, Team Boys, and I had to sit there and kind of learn how to stitch or bead. So the style that I learned is lazy stitch. It's 4 beads, put it through, come back, 4 beads, go through. You can make your design, or like there's certain ways people do it, but like that's how I do it. Is I do it by 4 beads, tack it through, pull it back through, 4 beads, tack it through, and then I just go all the way across, and then I start again left to right. That's like my beading style. But this beading style right here is called rolled edge. So the rolled edge is like literally the edge of anything, and you go through, pull it, you put your beads on, and you come back through, you pull your needle through, and you just pull it tight enough for where the beads make a loop. Once you make that loop, you can hold it. You can, like me, I just pull it tight enough so that I don't have to hold it. And I just constantly keep going through like that. And the first hat took me a week, my beading, and then I got that to 4 days. This is the rolled edge, and actually this is like my signature design. So if you want to hold that for a quick second.
Sure.
This is the Mark One, and that's the Mark Two. But so this is like the a family style of beadwork that I've been doing, and then a lot of people actually really liked it. And they said this is the best hat they've seen so far, beaded this way. So then I made a replica, but I did this one turquoise, silver, black, and white. Then I did this one red, gold, black, and white. So they're almost identical, but they're not. You can see there's 2 feathers on this one, and then I think there's 5 on this one. And then there's 1 line here, but then I got 3 there. So whenever I make a hat, I never try to make them exactly the same, like because your hat's supposed to be unique to you. This hat was made for my mother, and then I made my hat to represent our family or to mimic, so that when people look at it, they're like, "Oh, that's like the snow hat. That's the snow design." So that's why I make it this way.
No, they are gorgeous.
Thank you. And the funny thing is, people ask me, "Do you sit there and draw out your designs and then make them?" And it's always no. Like literally, I'll put the needle through, I'll put a line of beads on, and then I just start. And before you know it, the design just makes itself. So I never draw my designs. Like I think just recently for that grad cap, that's the only hat that I've actually sat there and designed because I've never worked with those colors before. But other than that, that's like a little bit of my beading experience. But for the hats, it was actually last year or during COVID-19, I lost my job and then I beaded a hat for fun. And I had lots of people asking me, where can I buy that? How do I get that hat? And I told them you can't, you have to have it made by somebody. And then I was sitting in the food court at Market Mall and I was like, you know what? I think I'll be that person to make these hats. So I just started doing it. And then when me and Gina got together, she did her own hat. And honestly, I like Gina's designs more than I like my own. So like I'm always telling her, do something. And then I try and like mimic it or copy it a little bit. But I'm like, yeah, you do it because like mine's a little bit simplified, old style, but Gina has that contemporary, that new style. I don't know what it is, but she knows like the colors and stuff and the shiny beads. And I don't know that stuff. So I'm like, here, you make something and then let me kind of copy it. Yeah, so it looks good. Yeah.
So we work together.
Yeah, we always collaborate on our ideas and our stuff. Like Gina gave me this idea and Daryl couped me, but Gina was the one that like beaded a shirt for me before. And it's like, I really like that. Like I want to do stuff like that, like and digitize our clothing, right? Like so soon I'm gonna start beading on pants and then I don't like the idea of shoes though. So I'm actually just gonna stick with those industrial moccasins, like with like real soles. But other than that, like I want to like that's me being native because growing up I've always been asked, "Are you Spanish? Are you Filipino?" And it's like, "Oh, I'm a native. Like I'm First Nations, right?" But how could you tell, right? And it's like you can't really tell. So that's why I started getting into the beads and really beading my stuff. So when people look at me, they're like, "I don't know what type of native that is, but that's a native." Yeah. So it's like, yeah, wait, that's the whole reason why I kind of got into this. And for non-indigenous, I always get asked the question, I want to buy native stuff, but I don't want to seem some kind of way. I don't want people to come up to me and get mad at me about it. And I tell non-indigenous people that when you buy native stuff, you're like showing off that artwork. You're representing that like you're an ally, a friend, not ignorant and hate our people, but like you're showing here, right? Like you care about like just what's going on with First Nations and going on in our world here in Canada. But like so when non-indigenous are like, how do you feel about me wearing something that you made? I say I feel very proud, and it shows that you're an ally, or it shows that you care about what we're going through in this moment, in this time, right? So that's what I always tell non-indigenous is that for us to see you wearing native stuff, it makes us feel better, but like don't go overboard to the point where like you're wearing full decked out regalia and you're doing some awkward dance, like like that's beyond over the line, right? But like earrings, a hat, a nice skirt or something. That's pretty good.
There's like a fine line too between, buying and supporting an indigenous artist or creator and then copying and appropriating designs
Yeah.
and taking them for your own.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Of course.
And Gina, would you like to share about your beading journey?
Like where I started?
Yeah.
Uh, so I lived in like kind of like an isolated area for 11 years and I didn't work. I was having babies. So at the time I had 4 babies and um jobs there is really like it's hard to get because you're just like in the middle of nowhere. And so I started beading earrings and I would sell these earrings and that would get me formula for my baby and diapers and supper and yeah, and a lot of people I would just go and it would be all gone. So I would just like, for the week I just keep beating a bunch of earrings and then I would go on the weekend and then they'll just be gone. And then I'm like, there I have like my next. So that's what kind of got me into beading. And it was so boring. Like I was so bored just being at home. So that's why I just got into beading and yeah, now that I met Kyle, he's a really awesome beading partner because we both talk about ideas with each other and then we try it out and so it's nice to sit with somebody at the table. And two, me and him when we sit at the table, sometimes the kids get too loud. So we'll set them all up a plate and we'll give them beads and then they'll sit there and it's quiet. They'll
And they'll really try, right? And they all tried to make bracelets. It was cute.
uh
But we're like, in the future, we'll make them better, right? But you guys got to keep beating in order to get better, right? Like,
yeah.
so that's this one thing that was like we're always doing with the kids is showing them beating, singing and singing to them. Rosita sings all the time, like when you're in the car, you put on like a CD and we'll just be driving or a song or whatever, and then like we'll look in the back and it'll be like, it's really
Like that. And then, oh yeah, with the beading also, what like taught me the basics of it was my teacher in school. Her name was Keitha Rabbit. And then in my genes, my grandmother, they were they were beaters too. And they used to do like they were I think they did the start of the Sutana Museum. They used to like all beat all these outfits and Sutana style and they have it all in the museum and stuff. So my granny was a part of that. And so it's in my blood. So that eye for the beads and all that is all there. Yeah.
So it sort of evolved from a means of survival to like a familial activity in a sense too. Oh, that's beautiful. Do the two of you ever get competitive eating?
If anything, though, like I think what we get competitive with is just who we could get orders from. Where we're like, this person called and said they need an order. It's like, well, what about this person? And then we just go off about all these people that need orders, that need stuff. And like right now, that busser right there belongs to my uncle, and he left it here for me just to touch it up or do whatever I need to. That's my old style men's traditional bustle, but honestly, I like old style traditional bustles because that's a chicken style. It's old style traditional, but you can still use that in the chicken style dance. So that's why I really like the old style bustle because you can use it in chicken and you can use it in traditional. So I can go out there literally if I go to a powwow and there's 500 traditional dancers and 2 chicken dances, you know I'm gonna be dancing chicken. But yeah, so like those are just like the little things is we always have orders. We have the beaded hats. I literally have 2 hides in the garage and a moose hide in the back here. I have this drum rim. I have more rims and like that's what we're trying to do is make more drums, make drums, and make feather work, bustles, trails for the bustles, beadwork. But then we also do the hunt camp, so it's survival bows. This is the perfect time for it because the willows they're perfect. Like you strip all of them and everything, and then it takes about a week to dry. So while in that week while they're drying, you're carving that wood and you're trying to make your bow, right? So there's all these different skills that we have, but we want to learn more, like ten hiding, the teepee tradition, the teepee teaching. I'm pretty sure Gina's family already has that though. So like that's those things though. Like you see, like Gina's family has something, a tradition, a teaching that I possibly need. So I have to follow the protocol and go there and put my time in and sit there with them and figure it out. And that's the one thing that I love is because I could do that with her family, and she could do that with my family. She could come out and my auntie Gloria will sit there and be like, hey, "This is how you bead, or this is how you sew," right? And like that's our family. We're always giving and teaching each other the values and the principles of what we're supposed to know. So I'm really thankful for Gina and her family because they're that side that I never kind of got to grow up with. I grew up with like the native political side and powwows, and then Gina grew up with the ceremonies and the hand games. So all of that coming together, I can feel it. Like our families both just became stronger in that moment.
Grown into a beautiful community.
Yeah, and then that's the thing too is like the community. We have different people from everywhere coming, and that's why we always learn different languages, or at least a greeting in different languages. So we're like Danitara, Uki, Stitch, Bonjour, hello. So all these different people coming from every different place. Uh, Anin, what was yours again?
Hello, Kagit.
See? So that's one that I have to learn now.
How has this community perceived your collective beadwork?
I guess you could say various communities. Banff, they want to put some of my hats in the museum, and the White Museum, and just have them there on display. So when people walk by, they're like, "Yeah, this is a Stony artist that made beaded fedoras." So there's that, and then in Cochrane, they have a space at the Friendship Center. They want to also put my hats in there. So, and then in Morley at the Smitty's, there's a small museum in there. They want hats in there too. And I'm just kind of like, wow, like it's so cool for you guys to want this stuff. But like the way I work is like we were talking about earlier, sometimes we're in survival mode, right? Our people 500 years ago were in survival mode, right? Like, but in that survival mode, they had roles, they had jobs, they helped each other, they did things like they were able to still keep that community going. And then to this day, like it's the same thing. Like we all have our roles and our jobs, but like I kind of got off topic there. What was that last question?
How was your beadwork then received by the community?
Yeah, so the beadwork by the community is that the people will order from me. That's one, like showing that people are really interested. But other things are like when I go to other places, people ask me why is there feathers on there? And where I come from, that's a sign of leadership. And my family has been in leadership like for a very long time. So that's why we always use feathers as in our beadwork because that shows a little bit of leadership. But we're not the leaders right now, but we still do the job that's required of us, like helping the young people, spreading awareness about what the government is up to, and just, sharing our knowledge and our culture, but also the history, because if you forget your history, it will repeat itself. But with all of that, that is in the beadwork because I do the feathers, I make my own designs, and I've had other artists that do this as well comment on my work and say that it was beautiful.
Get uplifted within this artistic community the, by other creators. So it's a super strong sense of community.
Yeah.
Um, I am curious though, if you faced any backlash at all, as a male beater.
I guess, yeah, I guess you could say I received a little bit of backlash. But the one thing that I was told was that you're selling your culture. And I don't know, it didn't sit well with me, but at the same time, I was like, at the time when I was in COVID-19, I was in survival mode. I needed money. So I guess you could say at what point, yeah, but then afterwards, it became something more than just a fashion statement. It became like, this is a sign of who you are. This is a sign of where you come from. This is a sign of who your family is, right? So that's why I really, really thought into it because there's a lot of people out there that I guess they're not really haters or like they're giving you backlash, but like rather than support you and be like, hey, you're doing really good, they're like, well, I'm gonna compete against you and do it even better and do my own thing, right? It's like, well, do whatever you want to do, but like for me, the backlash I guess it is and I feel bad is that when I'm sitting here constantly beating and beating and beating, the kids want to go play or do something, and sometimes I don't have the time because I have an order. It's due in a certain amount of time and I have to get it done. But I still want to go out and play with the kids. So there's times where I'll take breaks when I'm not supposed to, and we'll be playing, or I'll catch myself outside, come back in and I start beating again. But so that's like for me, the backlash is that I do spend a lot of time on my projects, but if I'm not spending time on my projects, I always try and make up for by time I spend in my family, going to ceremonies, doing things, even if I'm not feeling it, I still want to go and do it, for the kids because they're the ones that, need that role model or that person that's going to wake up and be like, hey, let's go do this. Let's have fun today. Not being any other kind of way.
Do the two of you have any advice for those who are reconnecting and want to get into beading?
I would say just get out there and do it for myself because sometimes I don't know how to do something and I'll just watch YouTube or TikTok and then other artists share and you learn from other people. Don't be afraid to like reach out to other people. I have actually reached out to other people through TikTok and I'll ask them like, where did you get like these shells or where did you get or what size beads did you use for this project, or when we're sewing, I'll ask like, what numbers did you use? And then, then they would share that. So it's nice to ask other people like questions and stuff. So you're sharing like beading and sewing knowledge. And I would think like a lot of people should get back into it. You need lots of people out there to share stuff. Everybody has a way to express their art, and everybody's art is beautiful.
I have two things for those people: patience, and the second thing is, it's an investment. Like if you're gonna get into beading, you have to realize that it's not free. You have to pay for stuff, and there's a little list you're gonna need. One, a needle. Two, thread. Three, your beads, and then four is like your material where you're going to be beading on hat, blazer, shirt, whatever. So there's things that you need to like before you even start. You have to spend money to make money. You have to spend money to make the art. Like that's the reality of it. A lot of people don't realize that. They think, oh, somebody's going to give me beads. Like, no, it's not going to happen. somebody's gonna give me stuff. It's like that's not gonna happen. Like you start and you try and figure out what you can, and as you're going, then somebody will reach out to you and be like, "Hey, you're not doing it right, or I'll help you with this, or what do you have and what don't you have?" And then before you know it, somebody will send you something, or they'll give you a picture or something to start you out, and then that's kind of how it starts. So it's the material process, though. Like for us, that's what it was when they started. It's like we want to beat hats. What do we need? We need to buy the hats. We need to buy the material. We need the needles, the thread, and then after all of that, we can start. So,
Yeah.
so there's always that starting process on anything. Like if you're gonna get into a new hobby or anything, you got to get. I always like make sure to tell people that because people always forget. Like they don't realize that a hat's gonna be like maybe $80 and the materials are gonna be 120. So right there, that's 200. And they're like, what? And it's like, yeah, that's what it is. You have to invest in the material, right? To get the product out.
And yeah, people that are like artists and then that they're into beading and stuff like that, and to like encourage other artists like to get into it. What encouraged me is that I had other beaders start me off.
Mhm.
So they just gave me like a set of beads and then like needles and stuff and then showed me their way. And then I tried it and then I thought to me I honored it. I thought it was really nice because then I was able to like, go buy my own stuff and I started building. But just that little kit that they gave me was like a view of the stuff that I need and what I would be buying. And so I think that like other people my message would be like, if you have somebody that wants to get into it and they're talking to you about it, just gift them like a few stuff and it'll go a long ways for them. Then they'll learn that like it's really expensive. The work and the time is like really like a lot, but you'll get used to it. Yeah, you'll get used to it. And a lot of people nowadays are doing trades.
Mhm.
So like that's what I think is really cool. So say like I made some really nice earrings and then they had something that I really liked and we'll just do a switch. So that trading is coming back. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, you're a sellout, like what he kept talking about. Um, People can't afford sometimes earrings or hats or buffalo robe. So that's why they would use money because money is more easier to just here.
Mhm.
And then, but nowadays, I think people are starting to catch on, like, you know what? Like, with this money, I can afford this, like, buffalo robe or this, like, set of earrings or whatever. I'm going to trade.
Have you received any backlash within your practices?
Um, I have family members that joke with me and they say China time instead of like native time, that joke. And they'll say, oh, you're on like Indian time or whatever it's called. But they say there's Indian time, then there's Gina time. So I'm Gina time. Just kidding. But they don't realize like I have so much children and I have to like entertain them. And then like when I have them all in bed sleeping, that I have like that, 2 hours or something to like bead and put like little art into something. So my stuff takes really long because I used to like I bead medallions and somebody will tell me their dream or somebody will tell me their native name and then they'll tell it to me and then I'll just like visualize something and then I'll just like freehand it and like give it to them and they'll be like, oh wow, it's like what I expected. So but if I warned them, if you ask me, you're gonna get beautiful put together work, but it's gonna take a while. And I let them know. So I'm like, so just you have to be patient with me. And then it takes like a while. And my daughter too, she's always making fun of me too. She's like, oh yeah, you're half a year project. And I'm like, whatever. I'm like, oh, raising you guys. Yeah. Well,
Well, if there are any stories you want to share or anything like that,
um,
feel free.
me and him could just share like a song, maybe.
I guess I do a quick little intro for the song. This song was handed down to me from one of my mentors. His name's Christopher Pegram. I was kind of having a little bit of a moment, and I wanted to. I feel like I didn't have enough songs, and he was like, "Well, here's a song. This is your song. You sing it, and I give it to you guys." So me and Gina sing this song together all the time, and it's just called Gina and Kyle Straight Round That Song.
Kuya Hoptiga, I am grateful. Kwana, thanks for all the knowledge the two of you shared. Really appreciated you taking the time to sit here and teach me and teach those that may watch. Is there anything else you might like to add?
I guess one thing I'd like to add is that we don't have a word for goodbye. There's no word for goodbye in our language. We say "I'll see you later" is hichimachino. I'll see you later, or I'll be seeing you, because there is no word for goodbye in our language, and we don't think that this is the end. So when we're saying "I'll see you later," even if you passed away and I was still here, I'll still see you in the next life or in the final campground. So that's why we always say, "I'll see you later," never goodbye. There's never a final ending or an end. It just keeps going and going. Shnish, thank you.
I just like to say Nani Sane, same thing but different language, but based in a language. Um and for all the ones that are reaching out for your culture, do it. Yeah. No one like everybody to be a part of it. Yeah.
That's it from us at Local Vibes. Take care.